From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
While we continue to mourn the 49 victims of the Orlando mass shooting, we find out how our state can prepare for a mass casualty.
It's not just hot outside, it's dangerous, but we're bringing you some tips on how to stay safe during this summer heat.
And the Red Sea takes on the big screen. We take a look at the premiere of a brand new show following the Cardinals' 2015 season.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Blair McElroy.
And I'm Crandall Brantley. Thanks for joining us.
Whether Phoenix, the 6th largest city in the United States, is prepared to handle a mass casualty incident is on the minds of Arizonans. Cronkite News reporter Alexis Solari spoke with the Phoenix Fire Department about how they are looking to equip firefighters with new tools to respond to an incident like the Orlando shooting massacre.
I spoke to a captain with the Phoenix Fire Department how firefighters are gearing up to handle a situation involving mass casualties.
We've had 3 big steps that we've really taken to help protect the public in events of mass casualty.
Suburbi says fire trucks contain 4 essential kits to respond to emergency situations, one of which includes a trauma kit. But soon the Phoenix Fire Department will begin stocking their battalion trucks with new trauma kit gear if they ever have to handle mass casualty incidents.
They're actually not even currently staffed on the vehicles, so they're being put together really as we speak.
Some of that gear includes a stretch tourniquet, ghost stretcher.
We can go in with a number of these and quickly wrap them underneath patients. One person, depending on the size, one firefighter, depending on the size of the patient, will be able to wrap somebody in these, quickly drag them out of the scene and drag them into a safe area.
Combat gauze.
So these are the ones that we can use to pack a wound, pack an injury.
Compressed gauze, a standard combat tourniquet, and needle decompression.
A lot of those mass casualty kits, the design really comes from stuff the military was using, lessons that have been learned in Iraq and Afghanistan in terms of how to quickly dress and heal battle wounds prior to being able to get somebody to surgery.
In addition to gear, Suburbi says Phoenix Fire has been heavily working with law enforcement the past 2.5 years to learn how to better prepare for a mass casualty scenario.
We've had firefighters that are on that violent incident subcommittee, and they've gone to the different stations and trained us on how to use the equipment prior to it even coming out. So once we have all the kits put together and everything's done, the day they're on the truck, we don't have to go through and train everybody. The training's actually already been done.
While Suburbi hopes something like the Orlando shooting massacre never happens, he believes Phoenix Fire is prepared to handle a situation like this.
We're very confident in our training, very confident in our abilities and the structure that we have in place, that if something like that were to happen here, that we know that we would be able to respond and handle it.
Now, Suburbi says this new trauma gear won't be added to all fire trucks because of how expensive it is, but he does say Phoenix firefighters are prepared to handle a situation involving mass casualties. Live in Phoenix, Alexis Solari, Cronkite News.
We are on wildfire watch tonight as fire crews continue to battle the Cedar Creek wildfire. Some residents have already started to leave their homes in the Show Low area. That community, along with Pine Top Lakeside, are on pre-evacuation orders. The wildfire has scorched more than 12 square miles. Much of the state is now under fire restrictions. The restrictions will apply throughout the most of Phoenix at 4 national forest locations: Kabob, Coconino, Prescott, Encanto, and Apache. This is drone footage of the Cedar Creek fire. Fire restrictions and shooting restrictions came into effect to prevent wildfires. Senior reporter at KTAR Phoenix, Jim Cross, said the amount of wildfires last year was reduced by nearly 50% compared to past summers. But Cross said the state is well ahead of last year's pace, and nearly all the fires have been caused by people.
We're already burned about 120,000 this year, which is roughly 110,000 ahead of last year. So, you know, the state's, for the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're in a lot of trouble as far as fire goes. People are going to have to be very careful.
Anyone that is caught starting a fire or carrying a firearm in a restricted area will be required to appear in federal court.
Adding to the wildfire issue's extremely hot, dry conditions, an excessive heat warning will be in effect starting Sunday and lasting through Wednesday night. Temperatures are expected to reach 119 degrees by Monday. The last time we saw 119 was back in 2013. The hottest recorded temp in Phoenix was 122 back in 1990, followed by 121 in 1995.
Those high temps can make it a dangerous dangerous for anyone out in the elements. Cronkite News reporter Ellie Keller brings us some info on how to stay safe in this heat.
Crandall, it is a scorcher outside today, and it's only going to get worse and even more dangerous. I talked to paramedics who help treat people in extreme heat, and they lay out what happens hour by hour. Morning.
Really, you're still going to start seeing higher temperatures before even 10 a.m.
Evening.
You can see even overnight temperatures above 90 degrees.
It is hot all day. While Arizona is no stranger to excessively hot summers, don't assume that it isn't dangerous.
I had a gentleman from out of town whose son almost died because they lost track of where their car was parked just downtown trying to find their parking garage.
Pretty much anybody can be vulnerable during extreme heat.
What most people don't realize is that it can only take 15 to 20 minutes to reach the most dangerous levels of overheating, and then you'll end up in a situation like this.
Dizziness, lightheadedness, lack of sweating, excessive thirst.
Real important is don't go anywhere outside your house without water.
Word remembers one instance where he had to rush to save a man who was visually impaired and got off track.
It was on a very warm day. We're talking about 10-15 minutes, and he got a little disoriented before he could find a restaurant that he normally went to. At this point, he already had an altered level of consciousness, and his core temperature had risen to 105.
But even if you're indoors, make sure you are staying hydrated and cool.
We do have about 40% of our deaths are in people who are indoors at the time of death.
Officials say it's important to be aware of the symptoms of heat-related illnesses, including headaches, muscle cramps, and weakness. You should also make sure to drink more water and wear light-colored clothing. Also, check on your elderly neighbors to make sure they're okay in the heat. In the broadcast center, Eddie Keller, Cronkite News.
And the heat just won't affect just people. We need to protect our pets from the high temperatures. The Arizona Animal Welfare League is taking an unusual step to help their animals this weekend. For the first time ever, they're going to close the shelter on Sunday for the safety of animals. The Welfare League will run an adoption special to encourage people to take home some dogs. Also, staff and volunteers plan to take home as many as possible. For those remaining animals, there will be additional cooling units, large fans, and swamp coolers to keep them comfortable. But they could still use your help.
By getting donations so that we can buy supplies to keep our animals cool or do adoption specials to get these animals into homes. That's how we're going to plan throughout the summer, is finding the best way to keep our animals safe in this heat.
If you're interested in adopting, for select dogs, the outdoor temp on Friday and Saturday will be the adoption fee.
And Arizona has another confirmed case of the measles, this time another in Pinal County. Officials say the new case doesn't pose a risk to the public, but does bring the state tally to 17. Like the other Pinal County cases, the Department of Health Services says this new case is also tied to a private detention center in Eloy. The first two cases of the virus were reported on May 26. Hundreds gathered together for a vigil held right here in the valley.
Coming up on Cronkite News. Friends and family come together to remember Jason Josephat, one of the victims of the mass shooting in Orlando.
President and Vice President Biden head out to Orlando to meet with those affected by the tragic shooting. It's not just hot in Arizona. A sweltering heat wave is expanding throughout the Midwest and the South as temperatures approach near record levels. The National Weather Service says that heat advisories are now in effect for 12 states: Missouri, Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, Louisiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Temperatures are forecast in the 90s throughout most of those states, but some places like central Oklahoma and in northeastern Arkansas are expected to hit 115. The high humidity in these states is expected to make temps feel much hotter.
In Mesa, hundreds gathered together in mourning last night for Jason Josephat, the young man who tragically died Sunday in Orlando at the Pulse nightclub. Josephat graduated from Skyline High School in 2014. Friends signed dedications and lit hundreds of candles in Josephat's memory. Be sure to look at our photo slideshow online on Cronkite News' Facebook page and later on cronkitenews.azpbs.org for more information.
President Barack Obama and Vice President Joe Biden arrived in Orlando earlier today to express their condolences to the families affected by Sunday's tragedy. As you can see here, President Obama flew into Orlando with Senator Marco Rubio and Florida Representative Corinne Brown. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest said on Wednesday the president would spend the bulk of the afternoon meeting with families with some of the victims, survivors, nurses, EMTs, doctors, and surgeons. After claiming that President Obama was directly responsible for the attacks in Orlando, Senator John McCain is now backtracking on his controversial comments. In a statement, Senator McCain said he has misspoke, saying, quote, "I have long warned that the failure of the president's policy to deny ISIL safe haven would allow the terrorist organization to conduct attacks on the United States and Europe, as they have done in Paris, Brussels, San Bernardino, and now Orlando."
In an update on a story we've been following, the U.S. House has defeated an amendment that would have banned immigrants who are protected from deportation from enlisting in the military. Arizona Republican Paul Gosar sponsored the amendment, which was defeated by 1 vote. Arizona Democrat Ruben Gallego spoke out yesterday on the 4th anniversary of DACA, a law that allows some undocumented students to remain in the U.S., saying that Congress should not let anti-immigrant partisan posturing stand in the way of the military's recruitment goals.
Members of Congress globe up and head to the field.
Coming up on Cronkite News.
Politicians fill the stands for a fun game of softball. We talked to some of the team members about their time on the field.
Plus, a call for extending a boating restriction near Lake Havasu might come to an end. What changes are now being made? State regulators are improving railroad safety here in the Valley. The Arizona Corporation Commission voted to add 2 additional railroad inspectors to its 6 current positions. They're also taking a closer look at safety. This comes after 5 railroad crossings in the Phoenix area were flagged as being some of the most dangerous in the United States. The 5 crossings among the 15 most dangerous are along a Burlington Northern Santa Fe branch line. The line goes along the 60 in Phoenix and Glendale. The problem areas are along Grand Avenue at 27th, 35th, 43rd, and 51st Avenues, along with another intersection at Thomas Road. All of those dangerous areas were marked for having at least 10 incidents within the last decade, with one having as many as 24. As of now, officials are looking into what improvements still need to be made.
From trains to boats, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service withdraws proposed boating restrictions for Lake Havasu. In May of 2015, new motorized boating restrictions increased a no-wake zone. This stopped tubing, skiing, and wakeboarding in a half-mile area used recreationally for decades. Last month, officials looked into expanding that with a draft recreational boating compatibility determination, but now that proposal has been withdrawn. Today, Congressman Paul Gosar released a statement saying this is a monumental victory. He is now looking forward to wildlife officials to reopen the ride spot. The area closed last May.
Today marks 1 year since Donald Trump announced his run for president. This weekend, he will hold a rally right here in Phoenix. It's his first stop since becoming the presumptive Republican nominee. Trump is scheduled to be at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum at the state fairgrounds. Seating is available for 15,000 people. The Arizona Republican Party chairman says the Coliseum is ideal for Trump because it's centrally located and indoors, which helps with security in case of protests. And we will have a team at Trump's rally this Saturday. You can look forward to our coverage on social media along with updates on cronkitenews.azpbs.org. Be sure to tune in to Cronkite News Monday for even more follow-up.
Politics is sometimes seen as a game, but isn't always to be a serious one. Cronkite News reporter Megan Finnerty and now our Washington Bureau reports on the 8th annual Congressional softball game, pitting women in Congress against ladies of the press.
Under the gray sky and stadium lights, women grabbed their gloves, shagged balls, and stepped up to the plate. But this wasn't a regular summer rec league. This one came with Secret Service agents and stands filled with politicians.
Well, tonight is the Congressional Women's Softball Game. Every year, we have a bipartisan, bicameral team of women of Congress and the Senate who beat the press.
Congresswoman Kirsten Sinema from Phoenix was looking for a three-peat win. Even though the average age of the members team was 50, these women could play ball.
I I play center field, but really what I do is run. That's what I'm good at.
Official politics wasn't far off the diamond. Congresswoman Martha McSally from Tucson wore the number A10, the number of the plane she successfully has been fighting to keep in the budget.
So the number I wore, can I show it? Is the A10, which is the airplane I flew and commanded in combat, the A10 Warthog. It's the best close air support airplane out there, and I've been fighting to make sure that we keep it flying to protect our troops.
McSally played well for a rookie with 3 base hits as the members led through most of the game. Bad News Babes rallied in the bottom of the 6th, ultimately winning 8-4. On the pitcher's mounds, the Bad News Babes celebrated the win. McSally wasn't happy over the loss, but was proud to play to benefit the Young Survival Coalition.
Obviously disappointed, you know, we always want to win, but it was really for a great cause, good camaraderie, and we always get next year.
The game raised a record of $215,000 for the coalition. In Washington, I'm Megan Coonerty, Cronkite News.
The men get their chance next week when the 79th Congressional baseball game will be played at Nationals Park, where the press will be watching that game from the bleachers, and Democratic lawmakers will be taking on Republicans. We are used to seeing the Cardinals on the field, but now...
Coming up on Cronkite News, we get to see how they play off the field. We met up with the team as they shared their experience filming the new docuseries All or Nothing. The Cardinals may be used to the field here in the Valley, but in Los Angeles, they just walked the green carpet. This comes ahead of their brand new Amazon series, All or Nothing, a season with the Arizona Cardinals. Cronkite News reporter Corey Kamershak from our Los Angeles bureau went to the premiere.
Downtown Los Angeles turned into the Red Sea when members of the Arizona Cardinals were on hand for the premiere of All or Nothing, an 8-episode docuseries about the team's 2015 season. After viewing one of the episodes, players and personnel took to the green carpet to share their experience.
To hear some of the stories and to get to know the players and coaches and the people around the organization, to get an inside look at the way one of 32 teams runs.
Even though the players experienced the season firsthand, a lot of them still felt mixed emotions when it came time to watch themselves in action.
It was very well documented, very excellent watching it. Like I've been saying, I was sweating even though I knew what was going on. I mean, especially when we watched it, my heart was pounding. I mean, it was a great show.
Yeah, my heart was beating fast, even though I knew exactly what was going to happen. You know, I didn't remember all the things that were said, but you remember most of the stuff. But you just, I mean, it was really well put together. It was awesome.
Pro Bowl quarterback Carson Palmer is excited that fans will get to see more than just what is shown on Sundays.
You get a chance to see Wednesday practice, Thursday practice, meetings, guys going home. It's the look and the experience is so diverse. I mean, you see so much that you don't get to experience as an everyday NFL fan. So I'm really excited for the fans of the Cardinals, but the fans of the NFL to see what we go through.
As we wrap things up here at the green carpet, fans can expect to see All or Nothing, a season with the Arizona Cardinals, on July 1st through Amazon Prime. For the Cronkite Sports Bureau in Los Angeles, I'm Corey Kamershak.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, State Department of Economic Security Director Tim Jeffries will join us in studio, and we'll learn what a recent court decision on net neutrality means for the future of the Internet.
I'm Gwen Eiffel on the next NewsHour. How Brazil is trying to contain the Zika virus ahead of the Summer Olympics. That's Thursday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.